Hey friend, is somebody giving you a hard time right now just as you are starting to come into a more expanded sense of yourself and create a life that you feel happy about? Then I have a reading for you. So let's go ahead and get started. Guiding our reading today, we have Gotcha. Gotcha very much carries the energy of like stepping on a rake and then the rake smacking you in the face, much like you would see in the old cartoons. Now, this isn't necessarily a malicious type of energy, but this is more of a, allowing a person to notice their own behaviors or their own, like effects of their behaviors by it coming back to bite them in the butt, so to speak. Starting out, we have Justice. So you yourself right now have come into a new equilibrium in your life, right? Justice being that she has these scales, this balance. Maybe you yourself had some anger issues in the past or some other kind of behavior that ended up causing problems for yourself and others. You have this new equilibrium that you've come into with yourself. You've resolved certain energies, certain patterns, which is what karmas are. They are patterns that we tend to repeat because of an unconscious relationship to them. But you've come to this equilibrium within yourself, and you're starting to notice where there's attachments to other people that don't serve you, that don't serve your good, and you're waking up to this reality. We have the Nine of Swords reversed, okay? So the Nine of Swords, we would typically think of this as like you see a woman in the Rider-Waite-Smith. She's woken up out of a nightmare. She's got the swords hanging on the wall. Being that we're looking at this in reversed, it's not even that you're even in the nightmare energy anymore and that you're waking up out of it. It's that you are more or less creating a new, happy, pleasant, positive dream for yourself. You come to realize that you don't have to carry all the burdens you have been carrying. Maybe these burdens could be other people. Maybe they just could be the results of your own actions and behaviors. And you realize that the experiences that you have, you don't have to have them anymore. You know how to create something better for yourself, right? Because the Ten of Wands being that burden card, right? You would normally see there's an individual walking on trail. They've got their bundle of wands in the town just in the distance. It's the burden, but like the end of the journey type of a thing. So you don't have to carry the same experiences that you used to have. Now, the difficulties you faced actually did serve your purpose because it brought you to this Queen of Wands, okay? The Queen of Wands, she's very, she is actually a very good friend. A lot of people think of her as, let's say, the Witch of the Tarot, but with a B. And the reality of the matter is this comes from the fact that she's very good at drawing lines, very good with her boundaries. She can say to somebody, hey, I'm willing to do this much for you, but I draw the line here. I can't do more than that because she understands when, giving how much is enough and how much is too much, whether that being like you notice that like when you give to another person, maybe it drains your energy, or maybe you even notice watching another person's behavior that they need to learn their lessons, and that if you overextend how much help that you're giving them, it will actually slow down their growth as a person. So what we want to focus on right now is taking care of our own things. We have the Two of Pentacles. This little fairy here, she's got her basket just enough for herself. She's juggling her food here. You are taking care of yourself. You are taking care of your needs and realizing that that's the more important part, because when you take care of yourself, when you nurture your own well-being, then you are in a better place to help with the greater good. We are going through some major changes in our world at this time, and in order for you to play your part, you have to be healthy enough in yourself and in your own boundaries, right? Because you're not trying to save the world. You are saving your one little corner of the world, so to speak, and that has its effect on the larger picture. All right, so you've come to this new ground, this new stability within yourself, and we come to the Seven of Wands, okay? And the Rider-Waite-Smith, the Seven of Wands would be this individual that they've claimed a new territory. They're still fresh and new in the area, so maybe they're still facing a little bit of opposition. And I'm getting the impression here that you have started something new. You're in a new territory. You've claimed something for yourself, but you're still feeling this opposition coming from outside sources, right? Maybe somebody is approaching you with this Five of Swords, the win at all costs, right? You have somebody who they're in aggression for the sake of aggression because they want for themselves, and that's all they've known, you know, like if I want to get my way, I have to act in this kind of a way. But you are the Knight of Swords. You've had the experience, you've trained, you've gained the skills, you've gained the knowledge. You know, think of, like, say somebody who is in martial arts, like a karate black belt. You get up to a certain point of skill and proficiency to where you know you can handle a situation. You know that if somebody were to put you in danger, that you would be able to do something about it. So you have this kind of peace, right, within yourself that comes from knowing your own capabilities, knowing your own powers. So you have the ability to sit back and you're watching this person act in the way that they are, and you don't react because you know what it's like to have been there. You know what that experience is like and the lessons that come out of it. And you also know that they're not even actually really a threat to you because you have a level of self-mastery that they don't have yet. All right, so this person, right, they have the Magician in reverse, the Emperor in reverse, and the Knave of Wands in reverse, the Page of Wands in reverse. All right, we would think of we would think of the Magician as an individual who, you know, can create their reality, has the ability to manifest, has the ability to do magic, right? They have all the tools necessary to create their reality. The Emperor is a level of self-mastery, somebody who, you know, has gone through the trials and, you know, learned and become the kind of person that can really create the life that they want for themselves on like a bigger, grander scale. And then the Knave of Wands here, typically in this deck, you would see he's very thoughtful. You know, he's got this new adventure ahead of him, and he's kind of thinking, like, do I want to go this way? Do I want to go that way? But because it's reversed, the person doesn't understand how their own behaviors, thoughts, and emotions direct their path. Long story short, they don't know what they're doing. Next up, I have the Chariot. Okay, now, normally in the Chariot, you might see like an individual that, you know, they're, you know, moving along or resting, you know, like they've got their sphinxes, their horses, and they're not holding reins. Maybe they're singing, playing an instrument, some sort of peaceful kind of thing. But when I'm looking at the Chariot in this deck, you see she's got these reins that she's, you know, holding the griffins with, and these griffins look pretty angry. So this person has probably experienced that their anger allows them to get their way, right? They, you know, realize that if I act in this type of way, it's going to get me this kind of result. The problem is that it also creates this Ten of Pentacles kind of an energy, right? Yeah, sure, maybe you got your way in the short term, but you can't create that legacy energy, that connection, the community, the larger prosperity if you make everybody angry, if you make everybody, you know, dislike you in some sort of way, and you're watching this person act out these kinds of behaviors that you yourself were familiar with, and they're playing with fire. You know, this is the Strength card, but I'm not looking at this in the sense of, like, you know, the gentle, calm, fiery, and, you know, gentle, calm energy, you know, helping to soothe the fiery energy. You yourself are there. You've gained that for yourself, but they haven't. And they end up burning themselves they also end up repelling people because we have this Queen of Cups reversed, right? You know, you might think of like her intuitive powers, her seductive energy, her attraction, right? The anger pushes people away. You see them pushing people away, maybe because they haven't developed the skills, the healthy relationship skills, healthy ways of regulating their own emotions and behaviors, so they end up pushing other people away. And it comes to this Ten of Swords. Yeah, Ten of Swords reversed, right? They don't come to a conclusion. They don't end the cycle. And this would be the temptation that we would have to be able to kind of look at the person and like, hey, let me help you get out of this. But we have also come to understand that this is a lesson that they need. The Eight of Pentacles, they need to repeat this. They need to continue to do the thing again and again and again. So they build up enough experience in themselves that says, hey, if I behave this kind of way, if I act in a certain way, it's going to create these negative results for myself. Eventually, though, it does actually lead them out of it on their own. We have the Eight of Swords. You would see the woman, she's bound up with the bindings all around her. She's blindfolded, swords all around her. That energy of like feeling stuck, but also having the ability to change the situation, to get out of it. This experience that they're having, this blindness, the restrictions, is actually all part of their growth. We have the Two of Wands. Right? When we look at the Two of Wands in this deck, you have these two young fairy boys here that, they made a decision when they were going out on an adventure to have each other's back. This person that's giving you trouble made an agreement, maybe on a higher level, whether before this birth or whatever you believe, with their guides that, hey, I need to have these experiences because these experiences bring you to an awakening, or it brings them to an awakening, much in the same way that you have had, right? You understand that the difficulty creates the initiative for a person to make conscious choices about their behavior, right? It's one thing to just be polite and nice just for the sake of like social norms and society, versus having enough experience in your life to realize why genuine kindness, why genuine connection and things like that are valuable. So that is the point, right? They're in this mentality that keeps them stuck in a negative experience because they partnered with their higher self to learn a lesson, to bring them into a conscious relationship with how they interact, with how they choose to be, their emotions, their actions. This was, in fact, a gift. The Four of Wands, right? And the Four of Wands in this deck, you have the fairy girl. She is giving the two fairy boys here this egg, the dragon, right? The energy, the intensity, the anger, the experience, whatever it is that this person is so hung up on was a gift. So that way eventually they could come to a level of peace, to come to this healthy relationship with this power, with this energy that is within themselves. And eventually what happens is they become the King of Cups, just like you have moved into this. They learn how to ride the ups and downs of life. They learn how to keep themselves centered so that way when the waves come crashing against the shore, they're not thrown off. They don't find themselves tumultuous and, overwhelmed. So just keep this in mind, friend. You are creating something beautiful for yourself. Maybe you are seeing somebody who is reflecting patterns that you used to see in yourself, It's a good reminder of where you've come from to where you are now, and to step back and not engage, because this person is on their own path. They need to learn the lessons, and you don't have to carry that burden for yourself. All right, friend, I hope this is helpful for you. If it has been helpful, go ahead and like the video for me. Leave a comment in the comment section. Don't know what to comment. You can leave a sunflower. That's a spirit guide of mine. That'll let me know that you see me, and that'll help the algorithm know that you want to be able to continue to see me more. If you're not subscribed to my channel already, please go ahead and subscribe. Head into my channel, find a reading that resonates with you. If you don't find one that resonates with you, I have in my community section, there is a pinned post where you can ask me a question and I will make a reading for you. All right, friend, I will see you in the next one.